Hello everybody, Vincent from Homeric here, and welcome to a new type of video. We were wondering what kind of content we can create for 2026, and we didn't want to keep posting on LinkedIn just to talk about things. We decided that we would like to show more about what you can actually do with the best product tools out there. And given some platforms are evolving so fast, and today we're going to talk about PostHog, we thought that it could be a good idea to cover product updates. You know, what's new on PostHog, and also some other tools that we will cover with other videos. So what's new? So you as a product manager or just someone working in a product team, you can really get all the benefits, develop your craft and your mastery of different tools, and of course deliver the best possible results for your products and your customers. So let's say it's going to be in 10 to 15 minutes. We will cover what's new in PostHog because it's, as I said, it's moving very fast. Today, PostHog is a kind of a collection of apps. You know, if you look at the just a menu in PostHog, you have many different tools. In the changelogs, you also have so many teams working simultaneously on different features. So as a consequence, and I read an article that maybe now we are at 43 different teams shipping new features, new code every week, if not every day. So when you look at a changelog, every week you have a lot of different things. So it may be difficult, of course, to keep track of what's happening. This is why we're here, because we use PostHog every day. We help our customers, of course, to implement and leverage PostHog as much as possible. And when we monitor tens of millions of events every month, we are in a good position, of course, to experiment with the features and to give you feedback. Just for full transparency, by the way, we don't have any partnerships with PostHog. We are covering the tool because, one, we use it a lot, and two, because we just love it. We believe it's, at the moment, the best analytics platform we have here. So anything related to data for a product team should be done in PostHog. So it's also a lot of fun for us to cover what's happening with the platform. So with no further ado, let's jump into it and see what's new. And I will try, right, to show you, if I can, what it looks like and how you can use it. Okay, so let's start here on the left side with what's new, and let's start with endpoints. So endpoints is a new beta feature, and it's a building block of an incoming, I guess, bigger feature or component for embedded analytics. So what PostHog is cooking is how can they allow you to craft some analytics in PostHog and then to be able to query the data table, the results, so you can create your own dashboards and reporting features in your application. And the idea is to be able to use PostHog to render analytics for your customers, not for you, but for your customers in your application. So think about all those B2B2C or B2B2B applications that may need to showcase dashboards and reporting to their own users. So that interface that they give you with endpoints is a way to query data and get a data set that you can render in a chart, for example, in a very fast way, in a very cheap way. So you can, of course, make a lot of thousands of hits, right? So you can render the views in a very effective way. So this is not fully, of course, ready for the moment, but that's something that you can use. It's super easy to experiment with. If you go to endpoints, so I will just move here. You just need to create a new one. And then you have a SQL editor here. So you would just need to explain, hey, this is the data I would like to extract, so I can render it in a chart, for example, or put that into a report. And then once you will activate it, they will give you an endpoint and with instruction to query it. I won't do it, but maybe I will create a video to create a tutorial about this one. We are not using it, but we understand the use case, of course, when you want to embed analytics. We have ideas about how we could use it because we're working on a big Atlassian Jira benchmark for our customers, and we could just use that as a way to distribute, right, different charts and reports to all our customers. So that's something that is moving quickly, moving forward quickly. So if you want to experiment it, this is definitely one new thing that we have in PostHog. The next thing that I would like to cover is the possibility to use versions in feature flags. So that one is very interesting because today versions are like string labels, right? It's text. So you cannot, when you use a text filter, you cannot say, if my version number is greater than this number, I want you to activate a feature flag. Right? If you want to activate a feature just in your last version, it's just not possible, right? You will need to parse the text, and it's complicated. So they did something very, very smart and very effective. You can now create versions labels with a specific type called semver for basically that's a version, and it allows you then to use what is typically numerical comparisons, right? So you can use greater than, and you can directly specify a version number. So you can use greater and lower than. So you can basically use a version label, a text label as a number. So that's awesome, just super simple. And now you can set feature flags based on versions. So very simple, very straightforward, but again, something very practical for product teams because it's very common, of course, to set feature flags based on the versions. I'm thinking especially about mobile apps, for example, right? You may not want to activate features on older versions. So fair enough, you just use that and you will be done in 20 seconds. So that one is super interesting. Something else that is interesting is the possibility to customize customer profiles. So that's something that has been moving quite a lot recently. They don't always communicate about it, but if you don't go every day, right, to that people in groups pages, maybe you do for a quick tour because it's changing. So now, if you go to your list of persons, and I'm just going to use one here, like real data, real examples, you now have a kind of a dashboard, right? You can set up some metrics, usage metrics, and you will see the numbers just for this specific person. You can see the feed with the session, what they did during that session here with all the different events that you have. If they use some LLM analytics, you can see their traces. If you connect Zendesk, you can also see, did they create any support requests, those kind of things. If they generated errors and exceptions, that may create issues that will be displayed here, and you can customize now what you can see or not. We can imagine that they will keep adding sections and different integrations here because all those things are pretty new. That's something that has been actively developed over the last just weeks, definitely. Something also interesting is if you, for example, activate revenue analytics and you connect your Stripe, you will see new properties appear just here. You can see what is the lifetime value of that user or / customer. You can also see what is their MRR and everything. So they really want this space here to become your holistic view of all the data regarding a customer / user. And that's very important because we know PostHog wants to be your CDP, your customer data platform, that is your central source of truth. And then you connect all your other systems, and PostHog will be the central system that will sync the data across systems. What I mean by that is, for example, you say, hey, I'm Vincent, I want to update my email. I could send a request to support. Let's say I cannot do it in my app. I will send an email. It will arrive into Zendesk, and the support person could update my email in Zendesk. That will trigger an event, goes to PostHog. PostHog will update the email of the person in the profile here, and then with pipelines, you can dispatch that notification to say, hey, all the other systems, please update that user email. You can notify your application, you can notify your CRM, and everybody will see the same up-to-date information everywhere. That CDP concept is kind of is a kind of a grail, right, for many product and data teams. But it's been very hard to, of course, implement with all the systems and the integrations. But with PostHog, we definitely have people and teams, I believe, taking the right strategy to make it happen in a way that is not overwhelming. So something to monitor. So keep an eye on this, but definitely something pretty interesting. Let's go back to our updates. You have new filters in workflows, so that's also something that's super interesting. And there is one small thing that I really want to show you because I believe it really demonstrates the value of having a workflow feature in your analytics platform. So if we go to workflows here, so I did that video in French yesterday, and I already updated my workflow, but I'm just going to do it again. But of course, you will see the result that is already configured here. So we have a workflow for just some email follow-ups. So on our website, you can download our case study. That will trigger an event in PostHog, so we know that who downloaded the case study. And then we want to wait for 1 day and then send a follow-up email. Hey, you downloaded our case study. Do you have any questions? Would you like to chat with us so we can discuss it? What's very interesting is I didn't want just to wait for 1 day and then send the email. So because let's say our contact downloaded the case study at night during the evening, I don't want to send an email in the evening. I try to respect work hours, and I really try to avoid sending emails during the night because they may trigger notifications on cell phones, and I don't want to appear at 9 p.m. while someone is enjoying some family time if I can wait the next morning. So what I did at the time was to add a filter here or a step in the workflow to say, hey, wait for 24 hours, and then I want you to wait for the next time window that I would specify. And I said I want to wait for, of course, weekdays. So if 24 hours later this is a Saturday, nope, we will wait for the next Monday before sending the email. And then I was like, let's specify at what time I want to send the email. And before that, before the ability to filter with time zones that I'm going to explain in a sec, I had to find a time during the day that works for both Europe and North America because I didn't know if it was someone in Europe or in the US or Canada. And I was like, okay, let's try to find the time that works for everybody. So I was sending something early afternoon for Europe, early morning for North Americans. But of course, it was not great because what I would prefer is to send an email just before 8 a.m. So when you start your day, you have your coffee, I will be top of your inbox and you will just check my email and that's it, right? It's going to be low impact. I will not disrupt your day or anything. So I believe this is the best moment for a follow-up. Now, we have a new option here. We can use a person's time zone. So what's amazing that because with a web session, we know the location, we know the time zone, so it's stored and recorded in PostHog. We can now say, hey, just use the person's time zone, and now please send the email between 7 and 8 a.m. And it will, wherever you are in the world, you will get the email at the time that I believe is the best for you. And that's super effective. If we were creating these workflows in N8N or Zapier, I don't have that information, right? So either I don't do it, which I guess is the case for most people, or I would need to query a system like PostHog, extract the time zone, make the calculation in Zapier, and then, of course, I will create multiple steps. It's going to be more, prone to errors. It's also maybe more expensive, especially with Make, for example, because you pay for each operation. But in PostHog, because you have the context of your users, it becomes just a toggle. 5 seconds, and you can now be very precise about how you want to interact with the people. So awesome, small detail, but for me makes a big, big difference. I would just love to have that for LinkedIn direct messaging because I tend to work in the evening. But I don't want people to receive my messages in the evening because, again, I don't want to trigger notifications when it's nighttime or family time. So we updated here our workflow step, and I just did it in 20 seconds yesterday while I was recording the other video, and then we send the actual follow-up, and that's it. That's our sequence. Only one follow-up message, and then you save, and it's done. So small details make a full difference, and here I believe we have a use case that prove that actually workflow can be the best workflow tool because you have direct access to the context of your users. So yeah, so something super interesting that I wanted to share. We're already at 15 minutes. We still have a few things to cover, so I will be fast, but it's not all, right? You just have so many things happening every week with PostHog. So the next thing I wanted to cover is the surveys. Today you have a survey feature. You can embed surveys in your application with a widget or just a notification. Now you have iframes and cloud-hosted surveys. So you can create a survey, they will generate a link. So you can just give a link to your users and they will access a web page provided by PostHog. And of course, you can embed that page with an iframe anywhere you want. So that's great because it's much closer now to the typical survey platforms. So for us, we believe we still need to implement that feature. Maybe I will also record a tutorial for that one. But I believe now we're going to be ready to disconnect Typeform because we just need that web link so we can share a link with anyone. So looking forward to testing it because it's going to be one more tool that we are going to decommission thanks to PostHog. Something else that I wanted to cover was about, let me check here, the LLM evaluation. So that's one of the big features that was released. We already created a video for a tutorial. So it's moving fast. When they released the first iteration, we only could configure OpenAI keys. Now we can configure Anthropic keys, Google Gemini keys, and also OpenRouter keys. OpenRouter is an aggregator third-party system that can allow you to use any model that you want. So now we believe the feature is ready for experimentations. Like you can try to use it, or you can connect your own systems with your own keys. Then it doesn't mean that the feature is fully ready and polished, right? I would be curious to see how they could, for example, improve the evaluation prompt size. Maybe it's a bit small. I don't know. We are using it a lot, and for the moment, it's not perfect. We also need to learn how the whole thing behaves. But what's interesting is that if I run manually the same prompt with the same model, we have different results when we compare PostHog and then the Cloud API versus VS Code and Cloud Code. So maybe it's an Anthropic thing here, but for us, we don't believe we are ready to transfer everything to PostHog here. We are actively experimenting on that one here. That's great. And then the last thing I wanted to cover very quickly, but that's great. There are two features that were restricted before to the Boost plan and Scale Up plan. Tagging is now free, so all the dashboards, your insights, you can tag them. It will help you create categories, make sure you can quickly access all your content, because you create a ton of dashboard and insights and it can become hard to navigate. So thank you tagging, it makes everything much easier. And you also have the event definitions that are now free. Oh, sorry, that's just here. It was also part of that add-on, but now it's free. So that's very interesting because of the MCP feature that comes with it. So if you go back to your data management and event definitions here, if I can take one, you can actually define all the properties that you want to come with it. You can explain. So basically, you can create your dictionary and your taxonomy. That's super important when you work, especially with larger applications and with multiple teams. And what's awesome that with MCP, you can now synchronize a document that could be your playbook, right, or your just your specification, and then an LLM can make sure everything is going to be synchronized directly in PostHog. So let's say you have some specification in Confluence. When you update the Confluence page, an LLM can scan the page and make sure that all the properties will also be updated here in PostHog. And of course, an LM can also highlight some disconnects or issues between your specifications and what's actively happening in the app. So that's great, especially for us. Of course, we create tracking plans. We have a platform for tracking plans and playbooks for our customers. So being able to synchronize and make sure everything is always up to date, that's something big. So we are already working on it. We already did it through the API. We know it works. Now it's available and free for everybody. So that's just awesome. Okay, I will just stop here. It's been 20 minutes. I hope you enjoyed the video, that it was, of course, helpful to all the people who are using PostHog, or maybe the people who are wondering if you should use PostHog. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You have the Homeric channel. You can contact me on LinkedIn. We'll be very happy to discuss anything about your analytics. And until the next video, I guess maybe in a couple of weeks, we will cover the first part of February. Well, guys, have fun with your data and see you very soon. Bye-bye.